What would you say is academic excellence?
Okay, so, oh, yes, it should be on the chin.
Yeah.
We're starting with a very difficult question.
I know, it's the most difficult one.
Yeah, I think I have two answers to that question. Because it is a very hollow term, I think, academic excellence, a very loaded term at the same time. So maybe to start with the first aspect, to me personally, academic excellence is very difficult to give meaning to without context. Excellence, I think if you look at a dictionary, it probably says something like very good or exceptionally good, and I think we understand what that means. But what does it mean to be an excellent or very good academic? Are we talking about someone giving bachelor courses or supervising PhD students, maybe conducting a lab experiment, writing grants, or supporting people who are writing grants? So without context, I don't really know how to give meaning to that, but even if we focus on one specific domain, I think if we talk about excellence, we tend to immediately think about research. Then I also need more context, because if you're conducting a blue skies, a very fundamental study, then what is considered excellent is probably something very different than when I'm conducting a translational study and I want to make impact on a societal pressing issue. So I guess to me personally it is a very multifaceted construct that requires context in order to be meaningful, and without context is rather meaningless.
Yeah.
But the other answer, I think it's not so interesting what I think is excellent, academic excellence, because it also is a very loaded term. I think a couple of years ago the Rathenau Institute published a report, I think it's called something like Excellence is Extraordinary, where they showed that excellence has very strong connotations after 30 years of excellence-driven policy. So it's about research, it's about the individual, it's about fundamental research, it's about competition based on uniform indicators. And I'm becoming increasingly skeptical that we can get rid of those connotations, that we can shake those, so then if that is the case, then maybe we should refrain from using this terminology altogether.
Yeah. Yarin, do you agree? What's your view on excellence? Should we still use the term, or?
It kind of reminds me of using the word rigor. I've been a senior lecturer in the UK for quite a while, and there the word rigor was basically the thing you want to have when you publish, when you do research, rigorous courses, you name it. But no one really actually knew what they were working towards to, only that you have to have rigor in order to get promoted. One of the three elements that you had to fulfill next to internationalization and something else I already forgot about. And this is kind of what triggers my critique really when I hear excellence. It's the same kind of wording for something that is so vague, so open, that it can be applied to anything and can be used for anything. So for me it's also important who decides what is excellent actually, and who says that it's not excellent. So there's that. I think what excellence also does is that as we don't know where we're working towards to, people do a lot for it, maybe a bit too much. And then we head towards the health and mental health component.
Yeah.
In working overtime.
Yeah.
Like structurally, working in the weekends.
Yeah.
Structurally.
Because you wrote an article for Science Guide on unhealthy academic behavior. So maybe if we get rid of the excellence thing, it's also better for healthy behavior in academia? Could it help?
It could help.
To rethink excellence?
Yeah, it could help. I mean, it's more structural than that, I think. But if you think about if we do not know where to work towards to, right, then how do we know we ever will fulfill? When is it satisfactory? When are you yourself satisfied? That is, I think, even more important than someone else telling you you've done an excellent job. I mean, I've been told I've provided or delivered excellent papers of which I thought, they were actually really not that interesting, to be honest. Compared to other papers I've delivered that are far more interesting but are not published in a peer-reviewed journal, for example. So it's also very confusing when people say this is excellent or this is not excellent. And I think that really makes it more difficult to perform in a domain where things are already quite difficult,
Yeah.
especially at the moment.
We're ending up with more questions than answers, I guess.